Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. All right. For those of you who are brand new, thanks for joining us. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. We definitely appreciate your time. Today, we are bringing you a very serious topic. We have done many of these in the past. Today is going to be a You're the Problem. Let's look at reality. Maybe these are going to be realities you don't want to address, but here they are nonetheless. Your tip of the day: who, what, where, when, and why are more than just first grade lessons on checking facts. Okay. They're for finding the right way and place to make change. Who, what, where, when, and why. So let me give you a little background. Actually, before I do that, let me reemphasize something. These You're the Problem segments, for those of you who've been around, you know this, but they're about empathy. They are about taking different perspective. They are not about me being right and you being wrong. They are not about you being right and me being wrong, although I know a lot of people take these things this way. But at the end of the day, what I care about, take a look at something from a different vantage point. Yeah, a little Dead Poets Society action going, Captain, my captain. If you do that, you will be better. You listening to me right here, you will be better. And that is what I'm going for. Okay. On August 27th, the shooters showed up at Annunciation Catholic School. They proceeded to kill two children, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. They injured 21 other people, as well as an entire community emotionally. I know this took a really dark twist. Please understand, my goal here is to make a difference, to be a positive impact. Our public response in a situation like this is who, what, where, when, and why. We focus on the field the shooter created, or in many cases, the fantasy the shooter created. Why do we do that? Why do you do that? I'm going to give you a hard reality right here. We do that, me included, if I'm not careful. You included, if you're not careful. We do that to justify our own narratives. And if you can't see that, folks, you're the problem. You can find good people. You can find evil people around any one of us. That is just about guaranteed. Evil doesn't hide in every crack and crevice. It hides in plain sight. Only after we have justified our narrative do we start to ask other questions like, what are the solutions? And in that, we have two camps. Why? Because we're justifying our narratives. One camp says, add more gun laws. Another one says, school security. That's what they are right now, at least. This is the wrong approach. And if you can't see that, you're part of the problem. Now, I know I didn't give you a lot of detail in there, so hang with me. If this is starting to frustrate you, my hope is that it's doing it in the right way, that your irritation is coming from a place of love and care for the people around you. I don't want these children who are 8 and 10 to die while they're praying to God. I don't want 21 people, 18 of which were kids, to be hurt. And yet it happened. We have to start before the shooting occurs, not after, not even during. You can't affect a bullet at the point of impact. If you don't wear your bulletproof vest before the bullet gets there, it doesn't do you any good. We're trying to armor up after the point of impact. And I'll explain more of that as we go. What we got to do is we got to look for signposts, folks. That means we have to start being more attentive. We have to, at each signpost, have a strategy so that when somebody is ill, when somebody who is ill gets a gun, when somebody who is ill gets a gun and posts things in public forums or talks about it in public forums, when somebody, you're getting the point. We're waiting way too long down the road, way too long. And if you can't see that, you are part of the problem. Some think we need to go into gun control. Now, that's mostly wrong. Some think we need to have more armed security. That's mostly wrong. Those aren't going to fix anything. They're not. I know the Democrats want you to believe that all the gun laws will fix things. I know the Republicans want you to think that all the security in the world is going to fix things. It doesn't. I'm not saying they couldn't help, maybe deter, but what are they actually going to do? Though these appear effective in the short term, they can't last because they don't address anything but the point of impact. And you're like, probably sitting there going, well, the gun laws wouldn't adjust the point of impact. Really? You're going to wait until they get a gun in their hand or they're trying to get a gun in your hand? It's already too late. That is already the point of impact. Some want to blame the instability of a person, their mental health, or maybe even the shooter's family, their family system. Again, though it seems effective to have reasons for incidents, it's the wrong place to start. We think it provides us comfort to know why this craziness happened in our community. No, it's too late. We missed the whole show. We do all of this, and here it comes, folks, hard reality, to avoid the truth. You're like, what? That took a twist. The truth is, folks, we, you, me, our communities, our towns, our cities, our country is to blame. Until we take accountability, until we start making a shift and open our minds to different solutions, until we start to acknowledge reality, we are the problem. And if you can't see that, you are the problem. Follow those signposts. Person doesn't feel very well. Then a person starts changing their identity. Then a person starts making manifestos. Then a person starts acting in violent ways, or whatever. You follow those signposts and create strategies. We allowed a mental health crisis, you and me, to ferment in our home. One where violence is optional. And you can do it willy-nilly with reckless abandon just because you don't like somebody. We did that with the fantasy that is the trans movement. I know you're going, wait a minute, Jeremiah, you're a mental health professional. I know. What I am saying is not to demean or belittle anybody. It's to speak truth into the situation. My profession screwed this up. My profession allowed this to ferment. We took an issue and said, affirm it. I've done other podcasts on this. This isn't new. Instead of saying, challenge it, love them through it, but challenge it, set boundaries, healthy boundaries that keep them and society safe. We allowed our politicians to ignore the correct ground for this battle. They're ignoring it. And we do nothing. By the end of this one, I'm going to tell you something that you need to know. You need to know if you want to affect positive change with the issues of mass shooting. Most of you are going to, your mind will be blown because there's stuff in play that has been ignored. Just hang tight. It's coming. You and me, we are distracted with justifying our narratives. We want the solution to be in the room we choose to reside in. Gun restriction laws, armed security. And if you can't see this, folks, you are the problem. And what I'm about to say will sound absolutely absurd because it's not what you want to hear. I don't just sit here and do problem identification. I sit here and I look at how do we affect positive change moving forward? So let's do the positive identification so that when I give you the home run pitch at the end and you swing for it, you're just about guaranteed a home run. Problem number one, the illness is going unseen, ignored, dealt with inappropriately. In other words, it's being minimized as though it's not the problem that it in fact is. Want some proof? 100% of mass shooters are acting from an unhealthy space. Anytime we have somebody who's got hatred for others, that is not a healthy space. Nobody functions well from that space. You look at your worst moments in your life, and I'll bet in some cases, well, I shouldn't say that. In almost all cases, you are acting from an unhealthy space. You can blame whatever you want. Oh, it was the alcohol. Oh, it was the weed. Oh, it was my friend. Oh, it was this. Oh, it was that. At the end of the day, if you were in a healthy space, you wouldn't have been there. You wouldn't have been doing that. You wouldn't have put yourself in that situation. Now, there is some room for what we call real accidents. Most unhealthy space. Problem two, access to deadly weapons is easy. If you don't have a felony, you have access. With a felony, it's still relatively easy to get illegal access. That's a problem. Problem three, people want more laws or security. More laws only deters law abiders. More security only addresses the point of impact. Neither one of them will solve this. Problem four, confidentiality, and 2A, your Second Amendment right to carry, collide. What do I mean by that? The Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendment and penumbra of privacy rights, which is what it has been determined in legal terms, does not allow people, professionally at least, like a counselor, unless there is an imminent threat of danger, they are not allowed to report that, to have their guns confiscated, to have them detained. And though I like that we have the ability to own weapons, I don't like that it is so difficult to get them out of the hands of people who should not have them. So I was digging around and looking at these things, and I said, wait a minute. The Constitution is a part of the issue on this. So we have to address this constitutionally. I asked myself, okay, so, hey, Jeremiah, what do we do with the Second Amendment? And I got to thinking, that's not the right ground to work from. Not at all. So I was like, okay, well then what is? Well, let me clarify why that is. The Second Amendment was put in place because your grandfathers and grandmothers, your great grandparents, maybe your great great grandparents, if you're younger, in some cases, your fathers and mothers were persecuted in other parts of the world and immigrated to the United States. I know on one side of my family, that's exactly what happened. And you think that that would be wise to say, well, let's put the government here in charge. That has never worked in history. Not once has that ever worked. The way our Constitution works is unique. Will it work? I guess we'll see. Right now, it looks like it's going down the same or a similar path as all the other attempts at government. You're getting division and a growing level of hatred. That being said, time will tell. Maybe this one is different. Maybe it will work out differently. And as I was going down this path of confidentiality and the Second Amendment, I came across something really important. And this is our failure. Yours, mine, others. There is a US code. So it's 18 USC 922G. Now I'm going to give it to you verbatim so that you have the facts. It shall be unlawful for any person, number one, who has been convicted in any court of a crime punishable by imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year. Number two, who is a fugitive from justice. Number three, who is an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance, as defined in Section 102 of the Controlled Substances Act 21 USC 802. Number four, who has been adjudicated as a mental defective or who has been committed to a mental institution. Number five, who being an alien, A, is illegally or unlawfully in the United States, or B, except as provided in subsection Y. Who has been admitted to the United States under non-immigrant visa. Number six, who has been discharged from the armed forces under dishonorable conditions. Number 7, who having been a citizen of the United States has renounced his or her citizenship. Number 8, who is subject to a court order that A, was issued after a hearing of which such person received actual notice and at which such person had an opportunity to participate. B, restrains such person from harassing, stalking, or threatening an intimate partner. And C, well, CI, which is, it's got a subsection, includes finding that such person represents a credible threat, or double I, by its terms explicitly prohibits the use of physical force against such intimate partner or child. And number 9, who has been convicted in any court of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. Folks, the law is already there. And it's pretty easy for me to see we're not following it. One glaring category as I'm listening to everybody talk about mental health, and this is a bias, I am a mental health provider. One glaring issue is the reality that we no longer socially identify the mentally ill. We don't do it through a court system. And though I think there's some good reasons for that, I do not want to impede in somebody's world unnecessarily. I think that's an issue. But let's be real. Every one of these situations, given that we stopped blaming, that we took accountability, that we addressed the truth, every one of these mass shooters, there were signposts. It was either in their family groups, their friend groups, their school systems. There were signs. And they got ignored. Because frankly, we don't care enough. That's a problem. And if you can't see that, you are the problem. We have to turn the level of care up. If you want security in schools, my pushback is this. If they have a school filled with security, does it change the way education takes place? Yes, it does. Absolutely. If we have them all armed, does it change the way it feels to walk into a school? Some of you are going to be like, because it's your own narrative, I know. You're going to be saying to me right here through this the podcast. You're going to be like, "What? It doesn't like it makes them safe," because that's your narrative. It also can make them uncomfortable. It makes it feel like I have to or else. So there's this constant sort of background threat kind of a situation. Is that what we want our schools to be? Anecdotally, I'm going to leave you with this. I personally, before being a therapist, I worked on the streets in a school district with gang members. That was what I was hired to do. Worked for the school district, worked on the streets right around the school to reduce gang influence. In that situation, I dressed like a civilian. I spent hours every single week, hours and hours and hours, getting to know the kids, creating profiles of the kids and the groups that they hang out with, their cliques. Now, I'm not saying that we did everything perfectly. I don't think that we did, but we did a lot of things really, really well. And at the end, the gang influence in the area that I was in dropped massively. Violence, fights dropped massively. And here's what I would attribute it to. We knew the kids. They were known. When they got off track, we knew it. We were proactive. We would pull them aside before something would happen. Did it eliminate all violence? No, there's still some spontaneous eruptions of violence. It was an inner city type school. Spontaneous eruptions, far less dangerous. Not that they can't become dangerous, but far less dangerous. We took the most important step in that scenario. And it's what I'm asking of you and of me and of everybody that you know. We want this to change. Get to know people again. Stop hiding behind your TV screen. Stop hiding behind social media. Stop hiding anywhere that you might be hiding. Go connect with human beings. You can save us one mass shooting. You. And if you don't think you can, you are just trying to create your own narrative. Get over yourself. You're not that cool. You're the problem. Make connections. I came at you pretty hard today, folks. I hope this was helpful. My goal here is not to demean any of you. I know I've gone over this before. It's to create empathy and say, hey, where is the problem? And the problem, we love to look at the problem as it's everybody else's issue. And until you start to look at it as your issue, we are, as a nation, as a state, as a city or a town, we suffer. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was helpful. Please like, subscribe, share it with all your friends. Get this word out there. Let's get people the help that they need. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.